Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I was reminiscing and I was thinking about how I built that statue of Ganesh that you see behind me. I didn't know anything about paper-mache, and I just decided that I'd give it a shot. I'd done a little bit of 3D modeling, computer graphics in the past, and I knew about wireframe. I had vaguely remembered that we used flour and water together to make paper-mache in the past. I looked up a quick recipe on the internet. And I just started using my imagination. It was at a time in life that I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a lot of spare time. So I decided to put it to good use. The first thing that I figured I would build would be the hands, kind of as a proof of concept. I thought they'd be the most complex piece, and if I could get that done, I could probably do the other parts component by component. I actually went online and looked up a technique for making things like hands by rolling up the paper and then cutting it to make the knuckles. I'll show you what I mean. If you look at this first slide, you'll see kind of there in the middle, the arm pieces of the arm here are actually water bottles that I paper mache slightly, and then I did the individual fingers. At the end of those, there's actually wire that those are wrapped around so that I could bend those and sculpt those a little bit, and then put just kind of a wooden dowel up through the middle to make the hands and the forearms there. And then for the legs, actually, if you take a look at this next slide, I measured myself. I sat down in the half lotus position and I took a tape measure and I measured the different parts of my leg, and slowly, just comparing back and forth, I just kind of replicated what my legs were doing with the wireframe, and then obviously taking little strips of paper mache around that bit by bit. So there's just the legs. The next step, well, you can see I then went to the torso. Same kind of process. And actually here you can see I'd added the frame. I had an old aquarium down there at the bottom. It was like an aquarium stand, which are great because they hold a lot of weight. They're spec to hold more weight than a normal stand would. And I put a kind of a 2x2 up through the middle of it and put a crossbar on it so that no weight would be being hung internally on the components. Bull shanty. So there actually wouldn't be any weight on the paper mache portion itself. All the paper mache parts would be hanging on a steady wooden frame. Okay, so I took it outside, and you'll see in these slides that I kind of been taking it inside and outside depending on the weather, because when you're doing paper mache, you have to let it dry and then do another layer, let it dry and do another layer. So you find that managing the drying becomes a huge part of it. Sorry about the dog. She's got to drink when she's got to drink. And this girl drinks a lot. She can't just drink a little bit and then a little bit. She'll go for a long period of time without drinking, and then, okay, excuse me. So anyways, yeah, here we have, I took outside, and if you can let it get it up in the sun, that's the best, because you can dry it quickly. Other than that, I actually used blow dryers, and I got to the point where I was using a heat gun that I had purchased from a hardware store. Okay, so then you can see on this next slide, slide number 6, I guess, that we brought it back in. I started working on the arms, and I did was I put 3 wires. I put the shoulder pieces and bent them down in the proper shape. And then when I got the shape that I liked, I would build the loops around so that I could sculpt it. I think that hand I just put right there as a reference at that point. Then on slide 7, you can see I started to add the other hands. Again, not trying to have if you look under the right elbow, there's another support, and I put another support on the left side that you can't see as well. Even the right hand up above has a support right there. Those are all rigidly connected to the internal skeleton. All right, on this slide 8, I've taken it back outside. It looks like I've just got 3 arms at this point, but it's starting to come together. This is kind of where it started to get exciting for me, I guess. This is probably, I don't know, I'm a pretty slow worker, so 40 hours in? I couldn't even tell you. It took a long, long time. Okay, so here's the head. I looked up some images online and of just an elephant's head, and I tried to kind of picture in my mind what those base components would be. It looks pretty motley here. It was varying success, but you'll see. And then on the next slide, you can see I've got the tusks I built ahead of time, paper-mache them up. And then on slide 11, you can see I started to wind that trunk down again with the 3 longitudinal wires coming down, give me the shape that I like, and then just steadying it up with the longitudinal, I don't know, the circular ones coming down. Another angle on that trunk that I was being built there. Brought it back outside. Another nice day. You can see in this case, the trunk is fully complete. I've got all of the paper mache on the trunk, and the hands have been fully added as well. I've got that fourth hand, the left back hand back there. So it was coming along nicely. At this point, you can see that heat gun kind of off to the side that I was talking about as well. Back inside, I started to add, there's kind of a paper mache that you make from toilet paper, believe it or not. It's like a paper mache paste. And that is a huge game changer when it comes to that fine detail work. So you can see on the hand there, I've started to apply it, both hands actually, the one up like this and the one that's down below. Both of them have the paper mache paste on there. Looks like 3 of them. In fact, I'm added to the 4th one. Also, the face has been added a lot more bulk with that paper mache. All of this stuff adds tremendous weight, so it's good that I had that internal skeleton. Now I'm taking that same paper mache paste and applying it to add a lot of detail to Ganesh's face here. And down along the trunk, you can see a lot of smoothing happening. It was really getting tricky to get that paste. Moving on to the next slide here, to get that paste up like he's got kind of a lasso up in his hand. It's really difficult to get that paste up and inside there and in between the fingers. They were quite rigid at that point. Okay, yeah, this got to be kind of fun then. It was a nice, really beautiful June when I was doing this. And I brought it out and started the process of painting. I was pretty much totally broke at this point in my life. So all of this I did for probably $50. And not even kidding. This is just bags of the cheap flour, $1 flour. Newspaper, of course. And lots of newspaper. In Portland, they've got these Portland Mercuries that you can pick up everywhere. So thank you, Portland Mercury, for contributing your supplies. Yeah, I mean, it was really reasonable. And in fact, that blue paint that you see me that I've applied there is just leftover house paint from when we painted the house. Okay, now I painted the body, started to paint the face a little bit there. This additional paper mache I've started to add is the clothing. And I've added kind of a belt there. Started to add. Brought it back inside. Lots more clothes, lots more of the robes that I've added on the front. And you can see I've started to smear, excuse me, down on the right knee of Ganesh there. I've started to smear some of that paste because it really does do a lot of detail in the smoothing. Yeah, another angle where you can see kind of a more complete picture of what we're talking about. In that back left hand, I've got Ganesh has got a little hatchet. Supposedly that removes all obstacles. Another angle from that same day, just kind of down and below, from up below, you see that I've really added a lot. Well, it's just another angle. Who am I kidding? Oh, this was really starting to get exciting. Yeah, back out, got those robes all on there, decided, I think we had leftover purple, or I've got some free purple somewhere. So we decided the robes would be purple and started just throwing those robes on. Oh, and you can see I've added the spines or the bony structure on Ganesh's face that I just whimsically added because whenever you are doing one of these, I guess Indian gods, you can kind of interpret it as you see fit. And this particular Ganesh was going to be going with me to the Oregon Country Fair that year and in subsequent years. So I felt pretty free to add kind of a carnival or whimsical feel to it. As you can see now, I've excuse me, I've started to add some painting, and the colors that I've chosen here were really contrasting and kind of a carnival, Mardi Gras kind of a feel. Using that same paper-mache paste, I've added some ridge detail to the ears, and now you can see I've actually, with the robes, I've covered up those structural pieces that were actually holding it together underneath the fake robes that I've made there. And I've actually started to add some around the wrists, some kind of jewelry, it looks like, as well. Yeah, now painting even more detail, some more of those bony, I guess magenta bony plates up on Ganesh's face. Started to add some painting detail to the axe there, the hatchet. Oh, back outside, you can see I actually turned a bit of the robe into a cobra. It's one of Ganesh's kind of iconic animals that he travels with. So using the paint, I've implied that it actually has become a cobra as it goes down his leg. In his right palm, he's got the Om symbol, the Hindu symbol for Om. And I've actually, for this festival, I wired it up with a lot of L wire or luminescent wire, and that Om did light up at that point when I first put it together. I later did strip that luminescent wire off, but it was there initially. You can see I've painted the left wrist to kind of a golden bangle bracelet, but that actually is covering up some of that structural support that runs into the foot. Yeah, I added a necklace just with those were just some cheap foam balls, I think, that I painted along with it. The bony plate on the front of the nose. Oh, and the hat. I just whipped that hat up super quickly because I was really running short on time at this point. Yeah, this is another shot of pretty much what's the finished product here, actually. The gold paint on the tips of the horns or the tusks. I also used gold paint for the fingernails. The L wire isn't really installed there. The eyes, I actually bought a couple at Goodwill. I found a couple of wooden balls that I emplaced in there. Yeah. Now, this is at our camp at the country fair. This is what it looked like kind of during the day. This was 2018, and it's kind of nice when you set something like this. Everybody, all the hippies around, we put our singing bowls there and kind of got together. Anyways, it really attracts a lot of fun energy. Just another shot of that same emplacement. Yep, it really was. It was really nice. This was actually the next year. This slide 33 here was 2019's Oregon Country Fair when I brought Ganesh back. You can see I've actually put some bonsai trees out in front this time. Really a nice installment that time. There was some nice crystals as well. And this final slide is at night during, it was a 5-day event, so we would light it up at night and really have a good time with it. So, yeah. So like I say, all told, I bet it took me 220 hours. I move at my own rate, and I didn't know what I was doing, so it kind of is what it is on that one. It cost me almost nothing, and it really has provided me a lot of satisfaction. As you can probably see, he's back there now, and it's really, I guess, removed a lot of obstacles. I don't know. It's more of an art piece than anything else, and it was inspired by my travels in India. But you never know. Maybe he has brought something special to my life. So thanks, everybody. Has Shanti been back there this whole time? Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.